Okay, greetings everyone, and good morning on a beautiful South African day. I'm reaching you all from Cape Town this morning, and I'm really happy to welcome you here to discuss a burning question that I think is on the minds of many South Africans across sectors and especially across government. And that question really is, what skills does the South African economy need? Um, and we're here to explore how economic modeling can help answer those questions. So we are from the Economic Modeling Academy, a new academy that recently launched over the last couple of years in South Africa. My colleague Motlatjo will say a little bit more about that. But the big question, and I think the reason we have so many people in the room today, is that skills are being hotly debated daily in South Africa. Where do we get them? Who has them? Who doesn't? Why don't we have them? What are the gaps? Where do our local skills go? Where don't they go? What does the job market look like? What is its labor absorptive capacity? And just last week or the week before, the Department of Home Affairs issued a new white paper on immigration designed to make the import of skills smoother, especially through special skills visas and digital nomad visas, in a step toward acknowledging that to be competitive, South Africa has to nurture both local and attract international skills. This is not a phenomenon that is exclusive to South Africa. We're also in a situation where the fourth industrial revolution is being turbocharged by the rise of the algorithmic age through AI. And we're entering this kind of new era of competing with AI for jobs in a way. And this affects the supply side, the skill supply side, because suddenly there is a huge amount of skilled bots that can now perform your job. Traditionally protected professions such as creative, legal, software development, and other white-collar jobs are also changing. And in the South African context, this is framed by very high unemployment rates, 32% by a Stats SA's last reading. The number of employed people in South Africa is around only 16.7 million. And unemployment numbers are obviously much higher than that. So, a lot of the numbers are difficult to comprehend when you say we've got 7.9 people that are unemployed, 7.9 million people that are unemployed, and then there's those that have given up. They're not actively seeking jobs anymore. They're discouraged workers, or they're just, completely unemployable. So those numbers are also really, really high. And the reason we're here today is to look at how economic modeling can paint a different picture in terms of scenarios and forecasting, and where the different levers are in policy and business strategy. And to look at the parts of the engine, the different parts, and then how they come together to create the whole engine in a way to understand that. So we'll learn today a little bit about the Economic Modeling Academy, about the skills situation in relation to forecasting skills demand and supply. And then the head of the Economic Modeling Academy, our co-director, Dr. Asghar Adelzadeh, will also just give us a demonstration of the incredible tooling that we have to do this forecasting. And of course, we have a skills demand and supply course that is starting soon, and we will also tell you about that. And you can consider it in terms of your HR skills development and training needs. And ironically, the reason we're here to discuss this skills situation is because we need retooling, we need retraining to actually enter effectively what is a new era. So that's my spiel for the introduction. I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Motlatjo Mogolwa, who's the Operations Director of EMA, and he's going to tell you just a little bit more about the Economic Modeling Academy, and then we will hear from our esteemed Director, Dr. Asghar Adelzadeh. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Amy. Quite a good introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar. So we thought it would just be a good idea to just give you a quick background of who is behind this webinar. We are Economic Modeling Academy, short for EMMA. It's a capacity building organization designed to actually demystify economic modeling, because every time people think about economic modeling, they think it's a space only dedicated for hardcore economists. But I think in all our lives, we need some sort of economic modeling. So EMMA is there to make sure that we offer programs in a non-technical manner, in a practical way, in an accessible language, to ensure that everybody who is in research, in policy, in strategy, and execution, you need to have sort of tools to help you with the foresight, so that at the end of the day, you have a likely idea of what's likely to happen based on the actions we are taking. So just to give you comfort, this organization is built on a combined experience of over more than 100 years, because as you can imagine, the leadership of this organization, we've got Dr. Hodler. I think most youth South Africa, you know him very well. He's the former State General, quite experienced, knowledgeable in the area of data analysis and surveys and how this data should be used and stuff like that. And he's got a lot of ideas. And we've got also our chief economic modeler, who's actually going to present today to us. Asghar with a wide experience. He has been operating in South African economy since early 90s. He's a former professor at Wits University. He's currently also a chief economic modeler at ADRS. ADRS is our sister organization responsible for economic modeling, research, and advisory services. So you can imagine he's also bringing that experience into EMMA program. The other person on board is myself, Mutlato Moholo. Those of you who don't know me, I've worked for all spheres of government. I've worked for state-owned enterprises. I've engaged a lot with the organized labor business sector during my time in the DTI when I was part of Netlec. So behind this organization, we've got a credible experience and quite qualified team. Given this experience and what we're trying to do, the Dean of Gordon Institute of Business Science saw it fit to invite us to be in partnership with them because Professor Morris realized that as a business leader, as a government leader, as NGO leader, you need to have tools to make sure that you are able to assess the action that you are taking, some sort of scenario planning. So when he heard about us, he actually invited us to come and join hands with GIBS. We are now partners with GIBS. Our programs are now offered through GIBS. They've actually also invited us to take residence on GIBS campus. So as I'm speaking now, I'm speaking from Gordon Institute campus in Sandton. So this means now if you want to take our courses, if you go to GIBS website under executive programs, you'll get our programs. If you go to EMMA website, you still get our programs. We've got 6 key programs, the multi-sector microeconomic modeling, which deals with the broader sectors of the economy, the trend analysis, stuff like that, and you can do a number of scenario planning. The other important one is the one that deals with issues of climate, environment, is the green economy. We know that all sectors these days, we are concerned about just transition. How can we transition better to a low carbon economy? So green economy course is actually dealing with those aspects. Of course, today we'll also talk about skills, demand and supply. what is the trend? What is likely to happen in the future? How the technology is affecting demand and supply of labor? What can we do to prepare ourselves to make sure that in future we don't have shortage of given skills? Because if you don't have given skills, you may not be able to achieve your objective as an organization, or as a country, you may not be able to achieve your ideals in terms of economic growth, low unemployment, and low poverty. So you need to have some sort of understanding there, but also people in HR, they need to plan, have some sort of skills planning, reports or document, so that they are able to make sure that they support skills that are going to be in demand in future, that are going to be scarce in the future. So the other important one is also the one that deals with issues of poverty and inequality. How can we deal with this problem of poverty and inequality? From the UN perspective, we talk about trying to deal with issues of poverty. So this program will give you tools and capacity to be able to gauge and judge how different programs and policies on various economic intervention can help us to achieve our objective. The other one is about the regional economics. It deals with provinces, it deals with municipal, connect that to the national and to the global economy to see how various things that are happening at local level, at provincial level, at national level, or even globally can affect our economy. Of course, recently we also had, as we're going towards election in the country, there's a lot of issues about basic income grant. So there's a course that deals with social protection on how can you actually make sure that at the end of the day, we're able to have a basic income grant to protect the poor, but also make sure that they are easily brought into the mainstream of the economy. So these are mainly the programs that are offered by EMA, and 4 of them are co-offered with GIBS as a start, and the 2, which is a multi-sector microeconomy and the social protection, are currently being offered by EMA individually. Maybe let me say 1 or 2 things. Amy later will tell you about the dates for these courses, but I thought maybe I must just touch briefly on personal development plans, because in both private and public sector, employers are expected to make sure that their employees have got the required capacity to deliver on their mandate. So all of us, where we work, we have to sign some sort of performance agreement, and in some places they call it scorecards, all those kind of things. But this is briefly what you are going to deliver in a given financial year, and you also tell your manager what capacity do you need to be able to do that. And I know that in government, being from government, now is the period where most of us are expected to sign our performance contract, but also develop our personal development plans. So this is the time where, as you prepare for your contract, you can also make sure that some of these groundbreaking tools from EMA are part of your personal development plan to assist you to be able to empower yourself, to be able to deliver. So the approach from EMA and from GIBS is starting from individual to organization to the country and to the world. So better individuals, better employees, better empowered, are able to bring about better performing organizations. And better performing organizations in any country are expected to lead to better national economy. And of course, if all of us are doing better as countries, we'll expect a better world. And all of us, I think we need a better world. So with those few words, I'll stop there, and we can probably engage at the end of the program. If my details will also be shared as Director of Operation, Zimkita, who's Zimkita Mafanya, who's our marketing manager and stakeholder engagement, who's also based here on GIBS campus. He'll You'll also get contact details. Amy and other colleagues are not full-time here on campus, but I think the two of us are at your service. Thank you, Amy. Back to you.
Thanks, Motlatjo, and thanks everyone for listening. Yeah, I think that definitely puts into sharp focus exactly the reason we're here today. And it's this infernal loop where we need skills to create a stronger economy, but we're losing a lot of those skills. There are a lot of threats in the skills dimensions. And because of that, there's a lot of planning that needs to happen. And indeed, individually, we also all need to reskill, upskill, and prepare ourselves for an incoming future that needs policy that's aware of the changing dynamics of technology, skills supply, actually what we need, and many uncertainties, including the climate crisis, which I think South Africa at the moment, or the sub-Saharan Africa, is experiencing a major drought. Now, how do you plan for this, considering skills, considering poverty and inequality, considering the green economy and what adaptations need to be made? And so this is what we're really going to go deeper on this morning. I've shared the program in the chat. Please, if you have a chance, introduce yourself in the chat. We'd like to know who's here, and you can make some friends with some other colleagues who are also really interested in our burning issue about skills. But I would like to ask now the Emma co-director, Dr. Asghar Adelzadeh, to come in and just speak to us about, the requirements of forecasting for skills demand and supply and why we need them. And then following that, I think he'll go into a demonstration on how these models work and what the software looks like that the Economic Modeling Academy has, and therefore what the benefits of our skills demand and supply course are. So Asghar, if you would like to take over the screen, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Amy, and thank you, Motlatjo. Thanks all of you for taking time on Friday morning to join us. A lot of you, as I was looking at joining the program, we are friends. We've met each other. Some of you, and we've been in different forums over the years. I have a lot that I'd like to share with you today. I'm going to disconnect my because I'm connecting you from the US, and I want to make sure it goes smoothly. So I take the video off to and then share my screen with you. Here we are. I'm going to start with the presentation. Let's see. Somehow I have to. It's not happening. What is going on? Can you tell me, Amy, what do you see? Is that the
It is coming up. We have the ADRS website in front of us. Okay, and now the presentation. Yes, correct.
Okay, here we go, the presentation. It's a short presentation. I'm gonna that I take out from where Motlatjo, discussions. Every course that we are offering at Emma, they have each one has 6 modules, and it goes to, it's a 6 months period. Each month you meet for 1 week, 3 hours each, 5 days in that week, and then it goes to the next module next month. Again, the same thing. All together over 6 months, it's presentation, 90 hours of presentations and engagement. Now, what I'm going to focus on is on the skill demand and supply modeling course. But to talk about it is that basically this course is all our courses. The first module is basically an overview, discussions of debates and discussions, and within that specific topic. And they have been in the area of skill demand and supply in the last 20 years. There's been a re-emergence of interest and debate on manpower, skill requirements, and forecasting, which is traceable to three sources. One is the rise in interest in linking human resource requirements of a growing economy and education expansion, linking these two and become more and more interested. People interested, and then also the translation, dealing with the issue of translating targets for economic growth to targets for demand for occupation and skills, and thirdly, the need for skill forecasting to better plan vocational educations and placement services. As you can see, each of these as you can see, each of these issues, they have there is a clearly they. I think you're seeing the wrong.
Yeah, I was just about to say, there we go, swap to
Yeah.
presenter. There we go. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Didn't want to interrupt you. It's all good.
That's fine. And clearly, the interest in skill demand and supply is linked to the outlook of the economy. And that means basically that assessing the demand for skills and planning for output of the education sector are linked to forward-looking scenarios for the economy. We can't just discuss skill demand and supply as if it's not related to scenario for the economy. If the economy grows fast, it generates more jobs, and the occupations and skill demand will be different. If it restructures, and it will be different. So the skill demand and supply is very much tied to the outlook for the economy. It is scenarios for the growth of the economy that translate to scenarios for employment, and therefore scenarios for demand for occupations and skills. So that is a very important, this endeavor, this looking at skill demand and supply in that integrated fashion is normally undertaken through economic modeling. And that is why we call this course as a skill demand and supply modeling. And what we do in the therefore in the first module of the course, we deal with we looked at these different discussions around the skill demand and supply globally, in South Africa and globally, and looked at the different approaches that are out there in terms of internationally, in terms of these linking the skill demand and supply to the economy, and we spend the first module on the debates and discussions on the skill demand and supply, the different arguments that exist, and then move on to to discussing these different approaches to forecasting skills demand and supply, and that goes from quantitative approaches that exist to more qualitative approaches, hybrid approaches, and then within each of these, within the quantitative approaches, you have different methodologies that have been used, and that includes modeling, econometric modeling, and CGE modeling. And then in qualitative approaches also there are. And each of these different methodologies that exist, there are different countries. We talk about different countries that use each of these different approaches for their skill demand and supply. And we place South Africa in that collection of international experience in terms of the work that has been done on SIPs. In South Africa, strategic infrastructure projects that was done, and also economic modeling that was done by ADRS. We did that, and we also used it for the DHET project. Economic modeling that is done for developing scenarios about the economy, and also projecting demand and supply for skills. So we spend a part of the module 2 also discussing these international experiences and different methodologies, and then zoom in the case of South Africa. And we focus on the model of South Africa that we have built, and we have deep knowledge of this, and how it is built on the basis of a large macroeconomic model of South Africa that is a bottom-up sectoral model that projects the key economic indicators sectorally and aggregate, and also produces projection of the employment by sector, by 45 sectors of the economy. And then how that macroeconomic model has been extended to include to expand it to include demand and supply for skills and occupations. So it has modules on the occupational demand to capture the structure of the South African, basically the occupational structure within the economic sectors. We have statistical and data analysis that has gone to build a module there. We discuss about the module dealing with the qualification demand, which is looking at the qualification, the structure within various occupations in the sectors, looking at replacement demand, which deals with the issue of retirement, migration, mortalities, and career changes, and job openings relating to replacement demand, and then module that generates total job openings for each year as we move forward, projects job openings in each year, taking into account growth of the economy, employment generation, turning that into occupational demand, skill demand, take into consideration replacement demand, and coming up with the job openings by occupation and by qualification. And then on the other hand, also we do a projection, annual projection of supply of skills and occupations. We produce projection of the labor supply by occupation and skills and job seekers, and then bring the two together, the demand and the supply, to also identify the balances and imbalances in the labor market as it relates to occupation demand and supply of skills and occupations. So that we spent the second and the third module of the course, 30 hours, to discuss the different tools that are internationally built, and then focus in detail about the South African tool that has been built and how it generates, that model is built to generate projections of the sectoral employment, projection of the employment among SETAs, 21 SETAs, job openings by occupation and qualification, job seekers by occupations and qualification, and balances and imbalances in the labor market by occupations and qualification. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to move to the model, the website of the model, to demonstrate these and take it also further.
Thanks, Asghar. While you get that up, I just wanted to ask if you have any questions so far, because I know it's quite a lot to digest, but I think the demonstration is going to help out a little bit. But please feel free to document your questions in the chat, and we will definitely have a Q&A session once Asghar is done. But perhaps once you go through the actual demo, you'll be able to grasp what was in those.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you, Asghar.
Thank you. I think you see my the ADRS website.
Yes,
now.
correct.
And on the ADRS website, the models that we have built for South Africa, suite of models, and international models that we have built all have a web platform, user-friendly web platform. In the case of South Africa, we have built a suite of South African models, from macro models to skill demand and supply, to green economy model, to provincial model, social protection model, and each of these have their own platform to, and in the case of the skill demand and supply, we have the model has provides the capability to after learning about the model in the course, then everyone in the course receive access, as part of the course, receive access to the model. And then we have two modules of the model, module 4 and 5, where everyone learns how to use the model for designing scenarios, doing impact analysis, producing projections, and therefore producing the different scenarios for the economy and the implications for demand and the supply of skills and occupation. So it allows you to the model on the website. It allows you to set up, to design a scenario for the economy in terms of growth of the economy, interventions, economic policy intervention in the economy. You may design a scenario for low growth scenario, medium growth scenario, and high growth scenario, and see what would be the implication of each of these scenarios for demand and supply of skills and occupation. And to do that, you're allowed to do fiscal policy scenarios. You can do fiscal policies in terms of the changes in the government final consumption expenditure, in terms of government scenarios relating to government, general government investment, economic infrastructure, social infrastructure investments, scenarios around public corporations investments. You can develop scenarios for the period that you're forecasting, taxes and transfers and subsidies scenarios that you can have. So it allows you to develop scenarios on the fiscal side, on the financial side. Also, you can, if your economic policy scenarios relating to the financial variables in the economy, relating to money supply, exchange rate, interest rates, and others, or if it is relating to shocks from foreign sector, for example, relating to imports and oil price and gold price and foreign direct investment. So it is to practices the participant in the course practice in terms of developing various scenarios, various alternative scenarios, what-if scenarios about fiscal policies, about monetary policy, about industrial policy, about the foreign direct investments and taxations and others. At the same time, the model allows you to develop scenarios relating to the skills, relating to the labor force choices. And then here you are allowed to, you can do scenarios about graduation rates, for example, about the matriculation rates by that is provided by race over time. What are the scenarios if, you know, there are obviously major differences among the different race groups in terms of the graduation, matric graduation, and you can have scenarios about over the next 10 years, for example, up to 2030, for example, whether the graduation rates is going to increase, at what pace, what you can have alternative scenarios on that, because that will impact the supply of different qualification skills in the economy, scenarios relating to matriculations, or scenario relating to the higher education, graduation in the higher education, again by race and by gender, by you have by various groups in terms of the next 5 years. So we practice various scenarios that are relating to also output from the education sector. On the one hand, we have the economy, demand from the economy, growth of the economy translates into employment and occupations and demand for skills and various type of occupations and qualifications. On the other hand, you have the supply output from the education sector that are being there are parameters in the model that allows you to develop what-if scenarios relating to matriculation rates, relating to the higher education graduation, relating to labor force participation rate by gender, by province, or by age group. For example, you have labor force participation rate scenarios you can have to capture the from the supply side of the from replacement demand scenario. So we spent 30 hours doing with everyone in the class, designing scenarios relating to various, from simple scenarios to complex scenarios relating to demand and supply, from the economy side demand and from the supply side of the output of the from the labor force participation and others. When the model runs, then it provides you results of the, on the one hand, starting with the macroeconomic results. For example, is the scenario results for the 2030 to 2030. It allows you to have the results at the aggregate macroeconomic results or at the sector results, and starting with the key indicators and other detail of macroeconomic impacts. You can see the impact of your scenario on growth of the economy. Here is a scenario that is like a medium growth scenario, around 2.5, 2.2 average growth rate. And then impact on employment. That growth performance has obviously certain implication for the total employment and sector employment. Other indicators, assessment of that scenario allows you to look at. There are more detailed results that you can look at to assess the macroeconomic outlook of the scenario that you have. But then you move on to, you can look at the results from the skill demand and supply perspective. Here is now that output, that generation of growth, that employment in the scenario translates into, for example, on the employment side from economic sectors, total employment projections in the economy by sector of the economy. And in total, you have 45 economic sectors projections and the total economy. And as you can see, this different scenarios will generate different set of output in terms of employment projections. This is by sectors, and each sectors has different structure in terms of occupations and in terms of skill demand, the skills underlying those occupations. So you can look at the projection then from the job openings and you know job seekers. So here is, if you look at the total job openings in the economy, from the expansion of the economy, from you can look at it from replacement, expansion economy, replacement, or total job openings in the economy by occupation and by qualification. So looking at it occupation, you look at that scenario that you had with the growth of about 2.2% average growth rate. What kind of projections does it generate over the next 10 years, or between 2021 to 2030, by various occupations in terms of demand for managers, professionals, technicians, clerks, service workers, and others. So here is a total job openings for the annual projections, and it's breakdown by various occupations. Obviously, if the economy grows faster, there's different restructuring on the industries happening, job creations are happening at different, between agriculture, mining, and manufacturing, and others. It affects these projections. So the scenario about the economy, economic transformation, the pace of growth and job creation has implication for demand for occupation. The same thing, you translate this to demand for qualification in terms of the highest level of graduation of graduates, the same level of job openings projections that we have here. Now it is also, you can see the impact of it on demand for people with no schooling, or the people with the secondary complete. What does it mean in terms of that kind of job creation by sectors? What does it translate in terms of the highest skills or qualification of individual in the demand for qualifications? You can look at it from also job from if you look at from job seekers side of it, from the supply side. Again, it provides you projection by occupation and by qualification. People who are looking for jobs, what is the magnitude of it? The job that are coming from the growth of the population, and also the graduations and the matriculations and the graduations that are flowing into the labor market, what's the total projections that we have job seekers in the economy, and what are what kind of occupations they are seeking, or what kind of qualification they have. If you look at the projection, the model produces projection of the same numbers by, what do we expect? Given the inputs that you have, for example, the matriculation rates, the graduation from the universities, that labor force participation, those parameters that you develop your scenario impacts the number of job seekers in the economy, and therefore it captures in here. The model also projects the impact of a scenario for the economy for the CETAs. It has all the 21 CETAs in terms of the different growth path of the economy. What does it mean in terms of the size of all the 21 CETAs, in terms of what is the expectation, the growth rate of this for planning of the CETAs in terms of their size based on a different scenario for the economy. Two other features that I'd like to just highlight for you quickly. Again, what people in the class will also learn to do is that occupational search. What we have here also in the model, we have the about 5,000 full list of occupation, stat SA occupation, about 5,500 occupations. And we translate the different scenario outlook for the economy, growth and demand for occupation into demand for these different occupations. So you can do search for occupation and see whether it's a high growing or low growth kind of occupation. So if you look at, for example, look at the, I don't know, clerks, the demand for clerks over there, given the scenario that you have, is quickly provided, and these are the code, occupational codes, and you're looking at it, for example, some of the, accounting and bookkeeping clerks, statistical finance clerks, stock clerks. What is the employment in 2021, for example, here, and what is expected in 2030? Is it a high growth, low growth kind of occupations, and what level of job openings are expected? If you type in, for example, I don't know, nurse, same things, again, very quickly it searches. So it goes beyond. On the one hand, the model projects annual projection for 11 key occupations, but then it goes beyond that, translates that into the occupations for it's in terms of getting different scenarios for the economy will have a different prospects for different type of occupations, occupations declining, occupations in high demand. One can see, both in terms of numbers and in terms of relative, is it a fast growing, slow growing? If you look at, for example, things like even if you look at the, hairdresser, at that level, you at that level of occupation, we have a long list here. Is the number of employment in 2021 and 2000, how it's expected, about 20,000 increase, and number of job openings, average job openings, annual job openings for that. The other feature, which is this is one feature for another feature, which is also for HR people who are in HR and planning. And looking at the sector of the economy, and they want to look at they are within a certain sector of the economy, and they want to know how that specific sector does. So here is, if you're looking at, you can look at a specific sector, is agriculture, for example. It is showing that in agriculture, what happens in agriculture in terms of occupations, demand for various occupations, in terms of where we start by the end of the forecast period, the change and the percentage annual growth rate of various occupations, the demand for the relating to agriculture sector. And as you can see, different occupations has different growth rate in that specific, sector. If you go from there, for example, to one of the manufacturing sectors or service sector, for example, to the, and we're looking at the, for example, let's say look at the transport, storage and communication, one of the important sectors of the service sector. Again, it looks at under that growth scenario, how does that sector that you are operating, what is the outlook for that sector in terms of demand for various occupations, growth rates of the occupations, and for planning purposes, it helps for HR departments in terms of planning forward. So the team will do these practices in terms of scenario planning and impact, and understand that discussions around demand and supply of skills tied to the scenarios about the economy. It is not in abstract on its own, but it is very much tied to what is the outlook, and therefore that needs the quantification of the demand and supply for skills, also needs the quantification of the outlook for the economy, employment projection by sector, and translation of that. And that means certain methodologies, empirical methodology, statistical analysis, analysis that go into that, building a model that will look at this in an integrated fashion. Then we have the last session of the last module of the course is on monitoring and evaluation, planning, monitoring, evaluation, and we talk about using the projection of the model for planning to integrate that into monitoring and evaluation, how to generate consensus forecast that then it can be integrated into the monitoring and evaluation. I think I'm going to stop there, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Asghar. I mean, it's always so amazing to see how the tool runs, and I'm sure a lot of people in the room have some questions, but maybe I can start with a question. Could you tell us how being able to run these forecasts, what kind of impact does it have on the policy-making process or business strategy? What kind of benefits are there having these models and forecasts to look at? What are the benefits?
Well, as I think as Mutlacho, referred to, whether you are having a small business or a large business, or if you obviously in government, you need to have a forward-looking outlook about the economy, and have a sense of where the economy is going, what is the implication of it, in terms of demand, supply, and other aspects. So that's definitely. So if you look at if you're in a mining sector, you need to have a sense of that, or whether you're in a food sector and others. So the tools are become indispensable. Models are indispensable, but there's not obviously one type of models. There different techniques that are used, and part of the course is to discuss these techniques. But it is indispensable to have a forward-looking intelligence in the business that you're doing, and also see your business in relationship to what policies are happening. You're not operating in vacuum, and therefore the decisions that are made about in monetary policy, interest rate policies, or on government infrastructure investments or spending impacts, or minimum wage, all of these, it has impact on your sector. From the government side, obviously, is also they are in business of developing scenarios and policies, and the first thing they need to know is that obviously, what if we implement these policies? What would be the outlook on the economy? So before implementing, you want to know, is there what the outlook would be and how it will change before you. So modeling again becomes an important tool for that, for policy design.
Thank you, Asghar. Fascinating. Are there any burning questions? Because I know that we've got 10 minutes. I'm going to take you into some incentives that we have for the upcoming course on skills, demand, and supply that starts. Asghar, maybe you can stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay.
We have an upcoming course. It starts the deadline for applications is on the 20th, and the course starts on the 27th. We obviously are very interested, and if you are interested to take a conversation further on that, our early bird has closed for this course. So we've got 2 semesters at the Economic Modeling Academy. This is our first semester course. There is a second semester course if you don't feel like you could actually get organized enough in time. But if you are able to consider taking the 6-month course, 3 hours a day, 1 week a month, we'd highly advise it, and we'd like to invite you to still, even though our early bird has closed, everyone in this webinar, we will offer a discounted rate too. So please contact us. I think Zinkita has put her details in the chat, but you can also reach us on courses@academyemma.com if you need to. But I'm also very interested to hear from the participants in the room about any questions that you may have regarding the courses, modeling skills. So please raise your hand if you do have any burning questions. Or you can drop them in the chat and I can read them out as well.
There's a question about how CETAs can, utilize or benefit from this, or HR executives. Maybe as people are formulating the question, I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Well, on the CETAs, obviously, again, for them as they plan for their programs, annual and forward-looking, aspects of where the economy is going, and what is the implication of it for job creation, and what does it imply for various CETAs in terms of, as I mentioned, the model produced projection of the CETAs, the share of the employment that fall under different CETAs, and depending on the extent that the economy starts, the growing and creating jobs, these CETAs grow, and therefore they need to plan larger interventions, more trainings or less trainings, or and also occupations, by knowing what are the occupations in demands and in the sectors that will help them. The HR executive, as I showed, if they are obviously in certain sectors, they can use also the facility on the one hand to design scenario about the economy, to capture in its consensus scenarios for the economy. But then when the model runs the results, they can look at the results at the sector that they are. What is the implication of the specifics for the sector that they are in terms of various occupations that are, and therefore planning for knowing that, for example, the market will be tight in these occupations, or there will be a high growth, or therefore adjusting their salaries, their incentives for attracting. So it becomes a tool that they can utilize in terms of looking at planning ahead to keep themselves competitive.
Thank you, Asghar. Great answer. And I think this pertains to a lot of people in the room, and I thank you all for coming. I'd be really interested if anyone in the room has an example of where they've used modeling, or where they think they could use modeling, economic modeling, in their businesses. So if you have one of those, please put your hand up and we can deal with those questions. But I think we have 4 minutes left, so I'm cognizant that we have a Friday ahead of us. Pali, are you still in the room? I wanted to also acknowledge your attendance. I think you may have actually, yeah, no, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Very good, thank you. I saw you join.
Yes,
Thank you. I'm one of our co-directors, Dr. Pali Lehochla, is also in the room. Maybe you just want to say hi, Pali. There we go.
Yes, indeed. I'm on my way to Lesotho. I'm at the airport. We had a very early discussion with Asghar this morning on a range of issues. And one of the matters that, as you will realize, that the former President Thabo Mbeki, for the South African audience, of course, the audience elsewhere, has talked about a national convention. That has also been endorsed by President Ramaphosa, a national convention. We have at England meeting where ADRS applied the tools, where we looked at what the future scenarios are. And for me, central to that national convention will be how we conceive of South Africa in the future, but based on real data, real evidence. Of course, there will be things that come that are sweeter on the tongue, but we actually have to sweeten that and ground it on real data. I have met BUSA this morning, a Business Unity South Africa. One of the things that Business for South Africa did, and I don't know whether you want me to share my screen, so that I can actually show what ADRS has done and why that is important. So let me just hijack the situation. Can you allow me to
I can allow
share?
you to do so.
In a minute. This should take just a minute.
You should be able to share, Pali.
Yes. I was just lifting the presentation because I just want to go straight to what I was discussing with BUSA on this morning.
So while you get that up, I'll just do some housekeeping. We will share the presentation so that you can go back and revisit the modeling showcase and the demonstration and what Asghar shared, so you have a better understanding of how acquiring this critical skill of forecasting and scenario building can actually help you in your business strategy or in your company or organization, or indeed your government department, or I know there are many seaters in the room. Having these skills can help you run these scenarios. Okay, back to you, Pani.
This approach government in 2020 saying that growth will move from 330 to 550, debt to GDP ratio from 82 to 60. That was in 2020. Before then, ADRS, working on England scenarios on a project, actually said it is possible to grow South Africa at 6.2%, 8 to 10 million jobs, 12% rate of unemployment, 23% poverty. 2 years later, Business for South Africa said, these are the targets that we are aiming for. Now, if you think about what Asghar has presented to yourself, he has created the pathway that is credible, that shows what is possible using modeling. Business for South Africa, by some ways, they created the numbers that they think are possible. Now, part of the discussion towards a national consensus have to be grounded in modeling. And that there are targets that are so similar. That must be the crux of what informs this. And I see those equipped with the technology, with the techniques that are being talked to by ADRS here. And through Emma, being able to contribute significantly to saying how credible are these targets. What is interesting is that the Business for South Africa targets are a spitting distance from implementing scenarios which ADRS prepared. So as we face that future, I believe that this training by Emma will be very crucial for us to try and construct a different South Africa. I leave it at that.
Can I just add to what Paddy said?
Of course.
The scenario that you see there from ADRS generated is that high scenario, what in Dolomiti was nail a walk scenario. And if you look at our website document, you can see the mix of policies or scenario, the detail of a scenario that generates that kind of result. So the model and the that we discussed, it enables you those practices that we have, the modules for the practices, designing scenarios, and you can design various learning about, in the process, learning about the working of the economy, its reaction to fiscal policy changes or monetary policy changes, or increase in public investments, or changes in taxations or foreign investments, and develop scenarios that are low growth, high growth, medium growth scenarios, and look at the implication of it. So you become basically on the driver's side of the driver's seat of challenges of generating the growth and jobs that are needed, and at the same time going further than that, being able to look at it, what does it imply for demand and supply of occupations and skills. So I thought just to to mention that.
Now that we have done that, Asghar, you have whetted my appetite. Let me just go through this staircase. You see, there is business as usual. If South Africa does things the way it has always done them, this is business as usual. And the policies that accompany business as usual are outlined there. If it goes on to micro reforms, what are master plans and so on, these are where these master plans resides, and that's what growth impact will be, 0.27 percentage points. If trade and industry, which includes the master plans, that's 0.38 percentage points. If we look at macro reforms, which looks at the Treasury, the Reserve Bank, and how government can come to the party, that has a very high impact of 1.43 percentage points. And of course, the social support, the grants and everything, many argue that they are regressive, but you can see that they are GDP enhancing. They don't take from the GDP, they actually, albeit they add very little, somewhat small. Then private support, which is the private sector, then you can see coming in, and it makes the economy grow at 0.79. And then, of course, our direct foreign investment, which we harp on all the time, of course, can come, external support, but contributes relatively very little, 0.12. So if we look at this modeling technique, it helps us under the Naila walk scenario. This has translated the Naila walk scenario. There's another scenario, which is Gwara Gwara, which is translated by a different set of policies, and of course, the bourgeois, which is business as usual. So looking forward, this is what the work at ADRS and at EMA does. Thank you very much.
Oh, fascinating, Pali, and I love that escalate analogy. What a wonderful visual. And I think probably everyone in the room here wants a 5.7 or above 5% growth rate. And nobody wants to continue hovering between 1% and 3%. That doesn't do anybody any good. I see the IMF projections are still in that dimension for this year, but we will endeavor, and part of that is to be serious about skills, about developments, about policy making, and about planning. So that's effectively why we've been here today. I understand we've run over a little bit, but I think this was really a very powerful meeting and connection. We are as available if you need further exploration, if you need us to come and do a presentation at your department or in your company or business. The Economic Modeling Academy can make ourselves available. Please contact Zimkita, her details are in the chat. Following this, I'll send out the recording, some materials related to the actual course that's coming up, the Skills Demand and Supply course, but also our other courses that are rolling through the rest of this year. Green economy modeling is also really of particular interest, I think, and also our poverty and inequality courses and our macroeconomic course. So yes, thank you everyone. We do appreciate your Friday morning commitment to the country and to skills, and we really hope that we can take it forward. I hope that's been interesting. And yeah, we do need leadership. Thanks, Miriam. I think that is the key thing. And part of that starts with you and within organizations. Leaders are from within. It's not from without. We all need to take responsibility for the economic evolution of our country and the desire to reach this 5.7% growth. So thank you all for attending. We appreciate it. We will be in contact with you and share a whole load of literature and information, but also please reach out to us. We are very happy to engage in meetings and to keep talking to you about how we can integrate our powerful tools, our skills, and all work together to build a stronger South Africa. Thank you, Asghar. Thank you, Motlatjo, and thank you, Pali, for joining.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.